So we're talking to Alasdair from Raasay Distillery. I love Raasay Distillery. Thank you for coming here and talking to us. You started production when? How long is it now?
So we started distilling in September last year, so just literally a year we've been distilling now.
Yeah, and you're running full production right now?
Yes, in July we went to 2 shifts,
Okay.
so we're now running 2 shifts 5 days a week.
How long was it from thinking about building the distillery and actually doing it?
That's a very good question. I first started thinking about having our own distillery back in 2012, but it was really 2014 when I met Bill Dobby, my business partner, and for R&B Distillers it was incorporated in 2014, so it's three years probably. Yeah.
And what was the hardest part? Getting the actual plans or the official things?
Yeah, I think the hardest part probably was actually building the distillery. The actual distillery equipment and the design of that was much more, I want to say, straightforward, but it was because we had spent so long designing the equipment. The actual build was quite challenging. Yeah.
So, for which stills did you decide? Who made them?
So our stills came from Philly in Tuscany in Italy. A nice picture of the stills there. And we're very pleased with the stills and the spirit that it's making.
How would you describe the characteristics of the new make you're producing?
So our new make is, for me, is quite light. It's fruity and it's got a sweetness to it. The style of whiskey we're making on Raasay is to have a smoky, fruity single malt. That's what we're looking for.
So you're doing peated runs, unpeated runs, both?
Yeah, so we do heavily peated, so about 48 parts per million in barley, and we do unpeated. So we run in campaigns, so we do heavily peated and then unpeated.
So can we expect that you release something before it's 3 years old?
Possibly not. I think what we're saying is that we hope to release our first single malt in October 2020.
Okay, that's great. And for now you have some other products that you are distributing and selling, and we will talk to Kevin about that. For that, thank you for now, and
pleasure
to have you here.
Very nice to meet you in person.
We're talking now to Kevin Liu, who's with Raasay since when?
Well, since 4 years ago.
Right.
But I was actually Alasdair's, one of his earlier distributors, based out in Asia. And then 2 years ago, I joined the business.
And you moved over to Scotland? Do you live there?
I actually live in London, but I commute to Edinburgh for work.
Right. And you brought some of the products here that Raasay Distillery is distributing and offering?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, we're still waiting for our own whiskey, but we do have the heritage which Alasdair inherited from his great-grandfather. So that's about the past, that's the heritage, and that's the Tweeddale range.
Right.
It's always an old blend supported by single cask bottlings of a smaller quantity. And then we have the While We Wait range, which is about the future. It's about what we're trying to do on Raasay.
And let's talk about the While We Wait range first. That's the ones that try to show what we can expect from Raasay, from the style?
Yes,
So how would you describe them, and describe the two you brought with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously there's never been any whiskey made on Raasay until now. So we're trying to define a Raasay style. For us, the core style is a lightly peated and fruity single malt, and that's While We Wait.
Okay.
So that's a vatting of a heavily peated spirit with unpeated spirit, and then finished in our own Super Tuscan Italian wine casks. Borders is then a completely different expression, completely different style. It's a grain whiskey which is finished in sherry, and we're trying to dispel the myth that grain whiskey isn't as good as malt. We don't believe that. We believe that when well made, grain whiskey could be every bit as good as malt whiskey.
Tweeddale is all about the heritage, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's so attractive, and it's so we're so proud to be working with the Tweeddale brand. It's actually been around since 1820, and then it fell into Alasdair's family about 100 years ago. And it's always been an old blend based on an old recipe. High malt content, space-size single malt, with very, very elegant Highland single grain whiskey. And that's our latest and oldest blend to date. It's a 28-year-old, and it really just signifies how blended whiskey should be made. We also have our 27-year-old single grain whiskey called a Silent Character, and it's just taken from 2 casks from Cambers Distillery, which is now called Silent. But back in the day, Cambers was very, very frequently used in Alasdair's great-grandfather's blends, and that's why we picked up these 2 casks.
Are you open about what's in the new Tweeddale? Which whiskey do you use for that, or is that a secret?
And we'll reveal some.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is a very proprietary recipe, so we don't tell everything. But apart from the Cambers, we've often used a Mortlach, we've used a Talisker before, we've used some very good Klein Niche. So yeah, no, it's about these old distilleries that luckily still exist till today.
And for the original Raasay whiskey, we have to wait until 2020, right?
2020, October.
Okay, and hopefully we can talk to you before that. And thank you for joining us. Have a nice day here in Berlin.
Absolutely, thank you, Benny.